Well, this week, just forewarn you, it's gonna be me pretty much just talking. Wanted to talk to you all about my mindset, how I go about setting my running goals, what I really think is a success for me at the end of the day. So just going to talk about all that, and maybe some tips on training, and show you what I have left to do as we approach this Garmin Marathon in Durham, North Carolina. So, you know, I'm going for a sub 250 marathon, which is about a 6:29 pace. My PR for me is a 257, which I did at the local park and rec center around the walking track. A lot of people would say that's not a PR because it wasn't an official race. So I really don't care what people say. When I set goals, the actual goal isn't necessarily to get sub 250. That's just a mark that I set to push myself. Because at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to do, is improve, push myself, get better. And so, you know, 257 is my personal PR. My official race PR was 2 years ago in October of 2024. My second ever marathon, I ran a 3:16. So there is no doubt in my mind that I can beat that. And so if I just said, you know, I want to beat that time, that gives me an out to not push as hard as I know I can, because I know I can do a lot better than 3:16. I feel like I can do sub 3 pretty confidently. That's around a 6:50 pace, I believe. So I set the goal of sub 250, 6:29. That's going to be challenging. Training for it has been challenging. I'm not sure I gave myself quite enough time. I'm only going to get in like 8 weeks of good training. What I consider a success is, did I execute my training? So far, I feel like I've done that pretty good. And did I improve? So if I run a 251, okay, that's beating my official PR by 25 minutes. And it would beat my personal PR by 6 minutes in 6 months. So I would have shaved off a minute per month. This course is going to be tough too. It's got, I think, over 1,000 feet of elevation gain. Not sure what weather would be like. Durham, North Carolina, May the 2nd, could be hot, but it could also be good weather. So, you know, those are all things you have to consider when you evaluate, you know, how you do on race day. That's just one day. And so if I don't hit the goal, I can look back and be proud of the training that I put in and the consistency that I had throughout the training block. Like, it's really just falling in love with that process every day of getting better. So that's kind of just how I think about these goals. Also, this is like my B goal for the year. My A goal is grindstone 100. So, you know, it's just on to the next after I run this marathon. But plan is to run sub 250. We're gonna go for it. If we blow up, we blow up. But we're gonna see how long we can hold a 6:29 pace on the day of the marathon. Here's the workouts that I have for the next 2 weeks. And then we taper, still have some intensity in the taper. I'm also going to be going for a PR in the 5K. So that'll be fun. Like I said, just trying to have fun with this whole process with running. And then success for me is improving. I'll also add that, you know, if I don't hit sub 250, my identity isn't found in running a sub 250 marathon. As a Christian, my identity is in Christ, and so I am secure in that. Also, again, what I really like about this is the process. If I don't run a sub 250, then it's like, okay, I chose to test myself on this specific day, and you know, I failed the test that day. And so that's just a good signal to say, hey, you know, you're not where you want to be. And so it's back to the drawing board, right? It's like, okay, what's really fun is the process of figuring out how do I get myself to sub 250 shape, right? And so, like I said, again, it's just enjoying the whole process. Don't get wrapped up in the results so much. I would encourage each of you that watch this to not compare yourself to others, not worry about other people's goals. You know, if you're looking at what I'm doing and you think that's impressive, I don't know why you would. A sub 250, even if I do get it, compared to what others have done, is nothing, right? But again, don't compare yourself to others. Don't worry about their goals. Heard a quote that I like, and it's comparison is the thief of joy, unless you're comparing to your former self. And so again, that's kind of my mindset. You know, I could compare myself to people that are faster than me, whether it's elite Olympians or run influencers on social media, or I can compare myself now to who I was last time I ran a marathon, right? Did I improve? You know, I'm better than who I was in 2024, or at least that's the goal. We'll find out. But you know, if you're running your first marathon or even your first 5K, like, don't compare yourself to what someone else is trying to do, whether it's someone you don't know that you're following on social media, or maybe you got a friend who's, you feel like, man, they're just so much faster, they're so much better. You know, compare yourself to who you were in the past. You know, maybe you find yourself saying, oh, you know, I ran a slow 5K, but you ran a 5K, right? And if you compare the 5K you ran to who you were 6 months earlier, could that person 6 months ago have even ran a 5K, right? And so that's something to be proud of. And I would encourage you, don't stop there. Like, continue to improve, whether you go from a 5K to a 10K or, you know, just get faster at the 5K. But that consistency is something to be proud of. So those are just some thoughts as I do this easy run. I can tell it's a little faster than a conversational pace. Also, holding up this camera gets my arm tired, so I'm out. This week and next week are hard weeks, and then we taper. So stay tuned.